go to China where the genocide.
No, it was an inside job.
Most of your constituents want the sergeant. Stop the genocide. Stop the Holocaust.
The Democrats want the ceasefire. The Democrats want the ceasefire. The Democrats want the.
We are outside of Nancy Pelosi's office, and we came to her because yesterday she was on CNN's State of the Union with Dana Bash. And Dana Bash said to her, well, are you concerned that there are some protesters that might not participate in this election? They might just stay at home. And she said, well, let me say, because I've been the recipient of a lot of these protests, some of them are very sincere and organic, but I think some of these protesters are connected to Russia. I've been looking at that for a long time. Dana Bash says, you think some of the protests are Russian plants? And Pelosi says, I don't think they're plants. I think some financing should be investigated. And I want to ask the FBI to investigate that. Ooh. That is absolutely ridiculous. I'm from San Francisco. I've been participating in protests at Nancy Pelosi's house for years, for many years, and guess what? I never received a penny, not from Russia and not from anybody.
Well, where did she get her money?
Where did Nancy Pelosi get her money? I think
Good
maybe
question.
we should investigate that.
Yes.
Maybe she got her money. I know she gets a lot of money from pro-Israel groups.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Maybe that should be investigated.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I've been telling you guys, okay? The Democrat Civil War is going to get ugly, okay? Because that was video that was just leaked to the internet. It is now going viral of Nancy Pelosi telling the pro-Palestinian protesters to go back to China, okay? Go back to China, which is interesting because that video leaked after Nancy Pelosi went on CNN and essentially accused the pro-Palestinian protesters, who are also anti-Biden, of being Russian agents, okay? They're funded by Russia. They're acting on behalf of Putin by calling for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, okay? And that is an issue that is tearing apart the Democrat Party because you have a lot of voters that are saying that, hey, we don't want to vote for Joe Biden because of what is happening in Israel and the Gaza Strip, okay? And Nancy Pelosi and Democrats, they're not backing down from the woke revolutionaries like they usually do when it comes to these issues, okay? Whatever the woke revolutionaries want, they typically get from Democrats because they usually capitulate and bow down to the woke revolutionaries. But when it comes to this issue of Israel, they're not doing that, okay? So they're on a crash course for collapse, okay? That's what's going to happen to the Democrats in the general election if this continues. So I want to go ahead and talk about the backlash that Nancy Pelosi is receiving for her comments about the pro-Palestinian protesters. Essentially, she, again, is telling them to go back to China, which, you know, I've been told that that's racist, right? And to tell somebody to go back to, you know, their country, even though I'm not sure if these pro-Palestinian protesters are from China. I'm not sure they're from Russia either, but I'm just saying, telling somebody to go to another country. Democrats said that this was racist before in the past, right? But this is the type of stuff that Nancy Pelosi is saying to her political opponents, along with calling for them to be investigated because she politically disagrees with them. So again, I want to talk about it. I want to play the clip of Nancy Pelosi basically calling for the FBI to investigate her political opponents on CNN and the left-wing reaction to it. So without further ado, let's get into it. But before, we have to have a word from the sponsor of this video, BioTrust. Were you like thousands of Americans this holiday season and ate just a little bit too much? If your New Year's resolution is around weight control, you can rest easy knowing that the rest of America is with you on this journey. Nearly half of Americans say that their New Year's resolution is weight control, fitness, or physical health, making it by far the most popular resolution for New Year's. There is a magical pill only for weight management control that I recommend and use. It helps control appetite, manage weight, reduce fat, control cravings, and increase energy. It essentially uses a unique nutrient that is linked to reducing body fat, body weight, and reduce waist circumference while increasing lean muscle mass. Plus, there are no artificial flavors, colors, or preservatives to hold you back on your health journey. This solution, along with proper exercise and diet, has helped me in my fitness journey this holiday season by not gaining any weight despite the holiday food, but actually losing weight throughout the holidays. Try it today for a whopping 51% off this New Year's. Plus, receive free VIP live health and fitness coaching for life, 2 free new ebooks titled Top 10 Foods That Burn Belly Fat and Top 8 Exercises to Reduce Belly Fat, a 60-day satisfaction guarantee, and free shipping. Order this today before the offer ends by going to trimwithpatriot.com. That's trimwithpatriot.com.
They're in front of my house all the time. So I have a feeling for what feelings they have. But we have to think about what we're doing. And what we have to do is try to stop the suffering in Gaza. This is women and children, people who don't have a place to go. So let's address that. But for them to call for a ceasefire is Mr. Putin's message. Mr. Putin's message. Make no mistake, this is directly connected to what he would like to see. Same thing with Ukraine. It's about Putin's message. I think some of these protesters are spontaneous and organic and sincere. Some, I think, are connected to Russia. And I say that having looked at this for a long time now, as you know.
You think some of these protests are Russian plants?
I don't think they're plants. I think some financing should be investigated. And I want to ask the FBI to investigate that. But apart from that, let's just say it's all spontaneous and sincere. Let's say it's all spontaneous and sincere. Young people care about the right to choose. They care about LGBTQ issues. They care about preserving the planet. They care about gun violence prevention. That's what they tell us. They care about our democracy and the freedoms that are contained in some of what I said. So they're going to have to make a decision.
Holy fucking shit. You cannot make this stuff up. Nancy Pelosi wants the FBI to investigate pro-Palestinian protesters. The woman who took over $600,000 from pro-Israel lobby wants anyone calling for peace investigated by the FBI. According to Democrats, if you care about peace, you're probably a terrorist or foreign agent that deserves to be investigated by the FBI. Like, this is next level gaslighting. How can you not see the cruelty, the hypocrisy, and the corruption staring you right in the face, liberals? But vote blue no matter who, am I right?
Okay, so Nancy Pelosi said that protesters who called for a ceasefire in Gaza are Russian plants and that were paid up by Putin, and she wants the FBI to investigate the money that is coming into these pro-Palestine organizations. And it's sad to say this, but unfortunately she's right. You know, because in my experience, Putin hit up my line back in August and told me, you know, to join my SJP chapter here in Morehouse, Clark Atlanta, Spelman, the AUC, right? And I had Russian goons literally come to my door, knock on my door like this. They came knocking on my doorstep and told me straight up, you know, you either support Palestine or you get sent to the gulags.
Did you guys see Nancy Pelosi come out and say that pro-Palestinian protesters should be investigated to links to Russia? This is someone who fundamentally does not understand the concept of human empathy, right? People identify with a struggle. They must be foreign agents, right? Not surprising, coming from a woman who held on to power till she was 82 years old and showed us her ice cream freezer during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. She was like, it'll be easy to work from home when you have every flavor of Talenti in your 6-story sub-zero freezer that's built in a bunker underneath your mansion. It's like, oh, that's the woman who doesn't understand why we care about poor brown people getting blown up by Israel.
It's really time for Nancy Pelosi to retire. Now, before all the white feminists come out and start screeching at me, being like, don't talk about our queen like that. She's clearly losing it. She's clearly losing it. Pelosi wants the FBI to investigate pro-Palestinian protesters. What? Former House Speaker suggested, without offering any evidence, that some protesters calling for a ceasefire in Gaza have financial ties to Russia and Vladimir Putin. You guys, this is so deranged. These people still live in the Cold War. It's amazing. They're still doing Russiagate. But now, it's Russians actually are paying Americans who are protesting for a ceasefire. Yeah, but did you know that Russia has expressed support for a ceasefire? This is Russiagate 3.0, okay? And here's the thing that people actually forget. Russiagate wasn't just about Hillary Clinton being butthurt that she lost, so they created a conspiracy about how Trump worked for the Russian government. Russiagate was a whole-ass dragnet, in which they claimed that anybody that was on the left that criticized Hillary Clinton or blamed her for her own loss, well, was actually on Russia's payroll. You can understand that Russia is a corrupt kleptocracy, while also understanding that the U.S.'s posture toward Russia oftentimes is deranged. So when you're mad that there are a bunch of protesters all over the country calling for a ceasefire, then instead of trying to understand that position, it's much easier to just go back to the well of the Red Menace. Because it all just kind of blends together in the end, doesn't it? Russia derangement syndrome meets Hamas derangement syndrome, all in one pool of Russiagate, Red Scare, communist 1980s. It doesn't have to make any sense. As long as you just say, Russia, 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 Russia scary, Vladimir Putin.
And now you have the former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, saying that the FBI should investigate those online and in person calling for a ceasefire. Somehow we're connected to Russia. The groups that are calling for a ceasefire are literally Arizona and Texas Democratic parties, or 80% of those are Democrat, 60% of them are American, thousands of black pastors, Doctors Without Borders, the United Nations. All of us are in cahoots with Russia. That's the propaganda that's coming from the House. That type of rhetoric is dangerous.
Nancy Pelosi got on CNN and said that Putin is paying people in America to go to Palestine protests, and said there needs to be an investigation into these organizations, not the protesters. That's probably another thing. She wants an investigation into organizations that got funding, and it's just like,
yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? The woke revolutionaries are upset with Nancy Pelosi for claiming that they are Russian assets, which, you know, hey, I got to keep it 100 with you. Although I don't necessarily buy into Nancy Pelosi's theory, because she's clearly using it as a smear, the same type of smear that she used against her conservative political opponents, because this is what Democrats do. They use the Russia agent, Russia collusion smear as a way to try to silence people who disagree with them. And she's doing it now to the left, and the left is finally understanding that that is what it's used for, while they supported Democrats using that Russian smear against conservatives. While I know why Nancy Pelosi is using that smear, geopolitically, right, it could make some sense, because this Israeli invasion of Gaza actually kind of plays into Putin's hands to a certain extent, because it distracts from what's going on in Ukraine. And on the international stage, outside of the Western media, because you're not going to read about this in the Western media, okay? They're not going to tell you this, but it actually makes the United States look very hypocritical, because we boo, whine, and cry about what's happening in Ukraine with Russia, but yet we're not really doing anything about what's happening with Israel and Gaza. In fact, we're turning a blind eye to it, and I'm just telling you how it looks on the international stage and what they're saying in non-Western media. I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm just telling you how they feel about it, right? What the rest of the world is saying outside of the West, right? But you have Putin, who, seems to support the Palestinians to a certain extent. He has verbally expressed support for a ceasefire, and he also is sending aid to the Gaza Strip. Now, while this war between Israel and Hamas definitely plays into Putin's hands in regards to distracting from Ukraine and kind of making the U.S. look bad on the world stage, again, this is what the non-Western media is saying, not me, but I'm just saying, this is what they're saying. He probably doesn't want the war to go on too much or to escalate too much, because Russia is aligned with Iran, and if Israel escalates the conflict too much, then Iran could get dragged into it. We already see what's going on in Yemen and the Houthi Iran-backed rebels. That is escalating. If Iran gets dragged into a war, which, you know, this could happen because we have politicians in the United States basically calling for airstrikes and war with Iran, like, for example, Nikki Haley.
What would that mean in practice? When you say Biden, you say Biden didn't do something. What was that something that he should have been doing?
The very first strike that hit, you punch and you punch back hard. What they should be doing is going after every ounce of production of those missiles. Wherever those missiles are, you take that out. You keep doing. You take out the training sites. You go and you.
But does that risk escalating a war?
Does that mean striking Iran directly?
It means striking the resources that are allowing them to hurt our troops. That's what you're doing. It's not going after
but they're backed by Iran. Iran says that they're not declaring the shots, but Iran's training them. They're providing intelligence. They're providing weapons.
And this goes
there
back.
would be no Hamas without Iran, Hezbollah without Iran, or Houthis without Iran.
But
yes, you're going.
Iran is a really big escalation. And
you go after wherever those missiles are, the production, wherever it is in Iraq and Syria, you take that out. Wherever it is in Lebanon that they're doing that, you take that out.
Yeah, so from a geopolitical perspective, Russia probably does not want to get dragged into a world war with Iran, okay, because of what's going on with Israel and Gaza. So I'm guessing from Putin's perspective, in the long run, a ceasefire is probably preferable, again, because they don't want to get dragged into a world war. But in the short term, the conflict in and of itself is probably helpful because it distracts from what's going on in Ukraine and makes the United States use resources to support Israel in their invasion of Gaza. Okay, so in the long run, Putin probably wants a ceasefire. That's what he's calling for. In the short run, he's probably relishing the chaos. So again, there's some fascinating geopolitics going on here that I think it's too deep to get into in this video, but again, I do think it's fascinating, the theory that Nancy Pelosi has put forth. But regardless, again, the left is getting a taste of their own medicine, right? You have Nancy Pelosi having to deal with extremists that her and the Democrat Party has created because they told these protesters that, hey, this is totally fine and this is okay, right? It's totally fine and okay to commit acts of violence and to get in people's faces, right? Maxine Waters get into Trump supporters' faces, okay, because you disagree with them politically, right? And she's getting that, right? They're getting in her face, right? Now she's accusing them of being funded by China and Russia, right? She's throwing every smear that she can out there at these people, okay? But with that being said, here's what I got to say about this. All of this is empty rhetoric from the far leftists if they line up and vote for Democrats, right? My question to these people who claim they're so passionate about what's going on with Israel and Palestine is, okay, how are you going to vote, right? Are you going to vote? I'm not saying you got to come out here and vote for Trump because I don't know if Trump would handle this situation any differently than what's being done right now. Who knows? Maybe this would not have happened under Trump. I think that's probably the strongest argument that we would have peace, if, Trump was in office. But regardless, if you vote for Biden, you know exactly what you're going to get, right? You know that you're probably not going to get peace, okay? And that this is going to continue. So are you going to vote for him? Hopefully not, right? Hopefully not, okay? If you really want an opportunity to have peace, then maybe, just maybe, you should not vote for Biden, okay? Don't show up, right? Again, you ain't got to vote for Trump. Just don't show up. Put your money where your mouth is. You're so passionate about this issue. Don't show up and vote for Biden. I'm just saying, if you show up and you vote for Biden, all of this is for nothing. They're already telling you what they think. They're not going to back down. They're accusing you of being foreign assets, foreign agents, for simply exercising your political speech, right? For simply trying to tell the Democrats you don't approve of what they're doing. They are turning on you, okay? The Democrats are turning on you, okay? They're showing you exactly what they think about you, right? That, hey, it's all fine and good if you're on board with our LGBTQ agenda, if you're on board with climate change agenda, if you're on board with the so-called voting rights agenda, if you're on board with their agenda, the Democrat establishment agenda, it's all fine and good, right? And if you're protesting against Trump, and racism and white supremacy, all good, right? Okay? They love that type of social justice, but they don't like this type of social justice, okay? So again, if you're really passionate about this issue, continue to protest the Democrats, right? Continue to make your voices heard and don't show up to vote for Biden, right? If that is really how you feel. Otherwise, it's just empty rhetoric, right? Otherwise, it's just empty rhetoric. I'm just saying, I want to see how passionate these leftists really are about this issue, okay? Because for once in their lives, I want them to be useful tools for the right side of history, okay? Please, for once in your life, be useful tools for the right side, okay? I'm just saying, do that, but leave regular, normal folks out of it, right? Don't block traffic, okay? Be a pain in the ass for Democrats peacefully, right? Make your voices heard, but just don't be a pain in the ass for us normal people who, you know, are carrying on in our lives, not worried about foreign conflicts overseas that really don't involve us, right? I'm just saying. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.